Looks like we are live. Yes. So, hello, everyone. I'm so excited about this live today. This is specifically a conversation for military homeschool families or those who love us and want to support us. So, thank you for joining us. We'll try not to use a lot of acronyms, but sometimes that's just kind of natural for us. So, just bear with us. If you don't know what we're talking about, please just ask in the chat. Definitely. So, this is our 18th Military Facebook Live, and my name is Natalie Mack, and so I am a high school educational consultant as well as the military outreach coordinator. I'm also a retired Navy chaplain's wife, homeschooling mom of 5. We've graduated 4 to college, and we have an 11th grader to go. Woot, woot, party time. No, actually, I am going to be very sad when the last one is gone. So, but we have today 2 incredible ladies that I have never met in person, but I feel like we have. And so I'm really excited for you to hear their story about their leadership of military homeschool support groups. I'll share my story, and you come on in and join in the conversation. If you are a leader, share your story. If you are looking into leadership or you fell into leadership, as is the case in most cases with military leadership, we welcome you to join us. So the 2 leaders we have are Jamie Erickson and Linda Bendal. So I want them to begin at some point to introduce themselves. And remember, please come on in, let us know where you are joining us from. And if you have any questions, begin to put them in the chat. And we welcome positive comments as well. So Linda is the leader of the Monterey Military Homeschool Community in Monterey, California. I was just there.
Yes,
Love
ma'am.
California. And Jamie is the leader of Camp Lejeune and New River homeschool families in Eastern North Carolina. And we were there. So I love that part of the country as well. So I didn't intentionally plan to bring the Pacific and the Atlantic coast together. But it did happen that way. So it's really cool. So I'm the leader of Fort Belvoir Home Educators in Northern Virginia. And the 3 of us are going to be discussing all the things about running a military homeschool support group, co-op, park day. If that's what you got, bring it on. We're excited to talk about any of the challenges, solutions, tips, and tricks, and we want to hear from you as well. So, and to all of my fellow military homeschooling parents joining us on Facebook, we welcome you and we're glad that you are here. Like I mentioned before, go ahead and put some comments there in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. And we're going to answer some towards the end, as well as replay viewers. I wanted to say thank you for watching the replay. Please feel free to comment. We will come back and try our best to respond later. So we're going to get going. Linda, we're going to get started with you. I want you to let everyone know a little bit about yourself and your family to get us started.
Okay, so I have actually been a part of the military community for 15 years. I started out actually serving in the Army. I was stationed at Fort Hood, and then I did a tour in Iraq. When I came back, I met my husband, and we've been married for 12 years. We have 4 wonderful kids. Our oldest is 13, and our youngest is 6. This is our 8th year of homeschooling, so feel like we got a good sense of what's going on. It's still a little hectic sometimes. I have my degree in early childhood education, and then I'm also just running the homeschool group here in Monterey. So lots of good things, but that's me in a nutshell.
That is awesome. So we're going to unpack some of that specifically about how you came into leadership and all of that. But that is exciting.
Okay.
I did not know that you served yourself. So thank you for your service. I thought I knew all the things about both of you all, but of course that's not possible. So thank you for your service. So we're going to go ahead. Yes, that's awesome. Jamie, go ahead and let us know who you are and your family and, all the details that military homeschoolers like to know.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. There's a lot in common between you and I, Linda, as I listen to your intro there. I have 4 children as well. I have a 10th grader, a 7th grader, and twins who are about to start 4th grade. This is also my 8th year of homeschooling officially, quote unquote. We did a lot of learning activities leading up to officially jumping in with both feet. But year number 8, and I'm a Marine Corps wife, have been for knocking on the door of 20 years. And I am also have a degree in early childhood education. I'm a blogger as well. I started a blog about 12 years ago called the Stay-at-Home Mom Survival Guide to use some of that early childhood background and what I was doing with my kids at home and share it. Lots of homeschool related activities and information. And then I also am a contributing blogger with HSLDA. So that fills up my days very nicely.
You are busy.
Yes, that is so awesome. I had no idea that there were so many things in common. Like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And I was going to shout out that, yes, you are one of our HSLDA military bloggers. And so we love having you. And thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate it. So let's go ahead and begin to talk a little bit about our support groups. I guess I should back up. I think I may have said about myself. I don't know if I did. Sometimes I assume everyone knows me because I'm doing these lives all the time. But I lead Fort Belvoir Home Educators, which is in Northern Virginia. And so we have a large support group there as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But I want to give the ladies also a chance to talk about their support group. So like how many families that you have. I know that both of your groups are growing. I'm watching from afar and I'm like, wow, 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 wow. I'm applauding you all because I know how much effort it takes for growth to occur. You know, we have the families, but getting them involved and active and participating is a different story. I've lived that, done that for years, so I understand. So let's talk a little bit about your groups, and we can go get started with Jamie if you want to go ahead and tell us about your group and basically, you know, how many families, what do you offer, you know, just the details that you would want someone to know, particularly someone PCSing there. There's an acronym. I knew it was coming.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. So go ahead, Jamie. Please feel free.
Our group is called Camp Lejeune and New River Homeschool Families. And we are pretty new in reality. We kind of grew from a base group that was really located just in our neighborhood and was very active during COVID, but then the admin moved and there wasn't someone there to keep it organized. So our group started to bridge between base and off-base military families so that we could kind of give us all a place to gather together and be that touch point for new families moving into the area. In less than a year, really, it's only been an active group for a year. We are up to 300 families that are in our group, getting the information, making connections, and that's really the main goal. So we do offer weekly meetups. We do park days. We're now starting to do more STEM and art events, monthly or bi-monthly. Monthly parent brunch is one of our favorite events. So once a month we get to go without the kids and have adult conversation, which is great. We also have partnered with our school liaison. I know we're going to talk about that going a little further into this chat to do some base-wide events too. So it's really growing. I'm just constantly amazed at, you know, what started with just planting a few seeds is just growing and growing and growing. It's really exciting.
That is so exciting. And like I mentioned, we live there in Eastern North Carolina, assigned to MAG 26 at New River. And I do remember that because we did not live on Camp Lejeune, we weren't able to join that support group because it was just for that, like you said, the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, you know, it would be awesome to have a larger group. I didn't feel like I was called to start one. I've done that before, but I'm so, as I look back and I look now and see, I'm thinking, wow, it's incredible, the growth. And it's just awesome. It really is. So that is fabulous. Mm-hmm. So Linda, go ahead and let us know about your group.
Yeah, of course. So last year I started the Monterey Military Homeschool Community. Since then we've had tremendous growth. It started out kind of small at first, but now we're up to 164 families. and over 250 kids. So it's constantly growing. Our group is kind of unique in the simple fact that anybody that's kind of in the area and associated with the military can join the group. So we have like D&D or DoD employee families that are in the group, veteran families. We also have families of teachers from the Defense Language Institute and also the Navy Postgraduate School. And here we kind of cater to all branches. So it's a dual military installation. So that's really nice. Our group also offers everything for free. I do not charge any fees to join the group. We kind of keep everything free and affordable because the cost of living here in California is just so expensive.
Right.
And we offer all kinds of things. So I do educational classes. I work with the state parks to provide nature programs. We have book and chess clubs. We do field trips. This year we're doing cooking classes and STEM classes. We also do like park dates. I hold special events like Christmas parties and back to school bashes and end of the year parties. We also do like guest speakers and hiking. So that's another thing. One thing that I did kind of incorporate this year, okay, it was over the summer, we did a curriculum swap for not only the military families, but I kind of joined in all the homeschoolers in the Monterey Peninsula and Salinas Valley area. That way we could kind of socially connect with other homeschoolers in the area.
Right.
And that was a great resource. We brought in like educational vendors in the area and they were able to provide information to the families. And it's just been really great. So
wow.
That's a little bit of our group.
No,
kind of got a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been watching both of your groups, and it's like, wow, this you have doing this, and it's incredible. So I love to see that growth. There was something you mentioned. Oh, the curriculum swap, right? You brought in Jamie. I know that you all also recently had something, and from what I know from Julie, I'll let you share, but the expectation for the attendance and what actually was. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, blew us out of the water. We could not believe it. But yes, Julie just really stepped up and made a fantastic event. And I just shared it. Really, she was the one spearheading it. We expected maybe 25 families to show up, and I believe the final count was over 100 that came through, which was wonderful just to give them a connection point and let them know we were here. They have resources. It was really, really a great day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. And I guess we should say, Julie, and someone may be saying, Julie, who is she? Okay, how is she tied in? I haven't heard her mentioned at all. Julie is a school liaison officer, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about her later, but I just wanted to respectfully say, Julie, we love you. Julie Fulton, we love you. So, and we do have, and I see people coming in the chat. I do want to shout out our representative for North Carolina Home Educators, Diane Helfrich. Thank you so much, Diane, for popping in. I see Anastasia God's Property from Naval Air Station Jax. Wow. Elaine Maxfield from Monterey. And then we have someone from Baumholder, Germany, Jennifer Lumpkin. Thanks, Jennifer, for coming. Thank you all so much for jumping on. Thank you very much. So let's I was thinking about, as you were talking about those activities, I know I see our next question that we kind of have on our script. But I was thinking about all of the activities require people. They require not just attendance, but they require helping hands, people saying, I will help you do this. I will help you carry this weight. And that's one of the challenges, I think, across the board, not just within homeschooling, right? But within, from scouts to any other activities, is getting families, getting adults, getting people to raise their hand and say, I will help. So how has that happened for you? What are some things that you have done to get other moms and other dads possibly on board to do some of these things? Because I know we as leaders, right? When we step into leadership, we tend to carry a lot, right? And sometimes we don't always have the support. So that's typically a question of someone may be listening, thinking, "Wow, those are lots of activities," and they've been counting, right? And they're like, "How is she getting? How are you all getting it done?" So just let's talk a little bit about that. And Jamie, if you want to go and just share a little bit about that process for you. And I know it's an evolving process. We always need more people to say, "I will help up. I will step up and help." So
yes. I think for our group, we do now have a planning team. Really, there's a kind of a handful of moms that have just consistently been sharing ideas and offering advice for activities. So I kind of asked if they'd be interested in kind of being put together in a little chat to talk and plan, and just throw ideas around, so that it wasn't just me coming up with ideas and maybe it doesn't work for some families. So it's good to get feedback. But this group just developed naturally from the core families that were consistently showing up to our weekly meetups. And I just noticed that there were a few that were more vocal and willing to share ideas of things going on in the community. And they were very aware of activities that were going on in the community. And some I had not even heard about, even with my attempts at doing research. So recognizing that they had those skills and awareness, I just wanted to kind of affirm that and say this is really valuable to our group, but at the same time didn't want to all of a sudden force them to wear a hat and say, "Now you are this and you're going to plan this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Many with 20 years of military spouse experience, many volunteer organizations, and sometimes the people who say, "Yes, I'll do it," suddenly end up with lots added to the plate that was not originally the plan.
That is so true.
Yes. So I'm very hesitant to do that, I guess, to kind of make people feel forced into it. But at the same time, taking the approach of just affirming what I see as their skills.
Right.
And just inviting them to participate or asking, "Would you mind setting up that event since you know the details about it?" But we are still so young or the group itself, that I do see over time that we probably would have to create some titles, so to speak, just so that people have their defined role to play if they choose that, just so that we're not all doing the same things.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And we'll talk a little bit more about, establishing a board and all. We have a lot to cover, and this is so exciting. I see questions coming. We'll get to respond to those in a bit. There was something that you mentioned, and now it's completely, you mentioned about the hats. Yes. When people, that's a big, real concern, specifically with homeschooling moms. We feel typically, and I hear this often, I'm homeschooling, as a homeschool leader, when I ask another homeschool mom, "Can you step up and do this? Would you be willing to do this? Would you raise your hand and volunteer?" And I hear back to me, "I'm homeschooling," and I'm laughing in my mind thinking like, "I'm homeschooling too, and I'm running a group and I need your help." You just feel like, okay, take that off the plate. We're all homeschooling, right?
Right.
But there is a reality there. Everyone has different levels of ability to manage a lot of things. And one of the big fears really is, I already have lots of hats on my head. And I'm not looking for another hat, right? So when you mention that, that's a reality. Linda, talk a little bit about your situation there and what, your thoughts about that.
Honestly, it's kind of, I'm going to piggyback off of Jamie here. A lot of my parents are supportive and they volunteer to help. Usually it's to break up and set down any activities that we do. This year, I kind of asked for volunteers to teach because I know not everybody wants to teach. So I did ask for volunteers, and I did have a few people raise their, hand and volunteer. But I think it is intimidating, right? It is definitely not something for everybody. So moving forward, I think that we will end up having to kind of lean the same way as Jamie and kind of assign roles in the group just to run smoothly. And so I'm not the only one But
Right.
I do reach out to a lot of our family members and ask them their thoughts on ideas that I come up with. So it's kind of the
Oh,
same thing here.
good. Good. Somewhat of the same. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about how did you become a leader of your community, right? What's that process? And I'll share mine. So when we moved from Eastern North Carolina up here to Fort Belvoir area in Northern Virginia, like many homeschoolers, you want to know what's in the area there. Is there a military
Right.
support group on the installation? What's outside? What are the co-ops? Where's the ballet classes? What's the best soccer field? All the questions, right? And so when I
Right.
got here, I became a board member of our group not too long after. I was doing field trips and I started clubs, Congressional Award, Beta Club, and another one, DC Explorers, I think. And then eventually I became co-president, and now I don't know how many years, maybe 3 years. I need to look and see. I don't know how long I've been in leadership. But yeah, but having said that, that's the process. And I've been in other installations where either I started the military group or I fell into leadership because I wanted it for our family and someone had to do it. So that is
Right. Yep.
typically what I think happens. But yeah, Linda, let me know how did you become the leader or how did you even fall into the position you're in, or that whole process for you?
So just like you were saying, it was kind of by default. We had already been in the area for 2 years, and there just were no resources for
Right,
homeschoolers,
right.
especially on post.
Hmm.
There was a co-op that was at the Child Youth Center,
Yes.
but it did end up closing down like right after I started the group. And then there was just nothing. So it was really out of necessity. My kids were missing the homeschool community that we had back on the East Coast and around Fort Meade. Um, and I was like, well, if anybody's going to do it, I guess it's going to be me. So I put a message out and asked if anybody would be interested. And I had a few people reach out, but not a whole lot. But the past few years, it has grown. Well, the past year has grown a lot. We have a lot of families in the area, more than I originally thought were homeschooling. I
Right.
was really surprised to see the numbers because for those first 2 years, we didn't even think there was anybody else homeschooling.
Yes.
So
The sole
it was
homeschoolers, right? You're like, where's everybody?
right. Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to recreate what we had in Maryland. And I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job at that, but it is hard. We're still trying to find resources. It's kind of a small community. It's kind of like a retirement area where we are. So everything's really expensive and kind of catered to older people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it makes
I
it
hear you.
challenging.
I hear you. And before we get to Jamie, I wanted to shout out Ash Knudson. She joined us. Ash, I also talked to, not as much lately, but she's rolling and doing incredible things at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. So Ash, thank you for joining. Oh, my screen just went off. Sorry, you all. Is we so good? Yeah, I just had a black screen all of a sudden. I went, oh my gosh. No, but anyway, thanks for joining. I don't know what that was weird. So Jamie, yes, how did you become the leader there? And I mean, I know that you probably a similar story, but just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, very similar, where we had a great homeschool community and co-op actually in California in 29 Palms, and then moved here and just assumed because of the location in the Southeast that there would be tons of homeschoolers on base and off, and we would immediately find them, and there would be this lovely homeschool utopia.
Yes.
And I was having trouble. We had two friends, one that we knew at the previous base that we could connect with when we got here, who also was partially homeschooling. They were doing a hybrid program. And then another family that we became close with that was homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
And just out of necessity for myself, when they both were moving, I kind of thought, I feel like I need that community just to stay focused and fill up my cup and find other people who I could encourage in this, rather than kind of feeling like I was constantly being presented with viewpoints of quitting or, moving on to something else or it not really being worth it. And so I joke that I really kind of took the group that existed and through the recommendation of a friend that was homeschooling, created a new group so that we could bring off base and base together. And really joked that it was because I needed socialization, not my kids. My kids mom friends.
That's that dreadful S word that everyone
yes.
Oh no. It's so funny that non-homeschoolers think, oh, they don't like socialization. Homeschoolers don't really care about socialization. And you're like, oh gosh, we are so socialized. It's like, amazing. So, but moms, we do need that. We do need that. And, there's so many families that are new to homeschooling, meaning a lot of families that have transition to homeschooling from traditional school, where this idea of a support group really doesn't exist. The closest might be the PTA, but it's really nothing like a real homeschool support group. And so a lot of families are like, okay, why do we need support groups? Why do we join? Why would we join? What do we need? But just like our children love to hang out with other kids that are living the same life that they are, us moms, we need that. We can pour into others and they can pour into us. So that's something that I try to encourage a lot of the homeschoolers who are new. Join the group, It's kind of like as military spouses, when we are stationed on installations where there's a lot of deployments and you have families who say, oh, I'm not going to get involved in any of the groups. But then deployments come and they're usually like, hey, where's everybody? I need support. And, we're like, we tried to get you to join, right? To come and fellowship. And now, your ship is sinking and you're like, why? Well, and so, we welcome them in at any point because that's what military families do. But definitely that's really important to have that fellowship. So I get exactly all of that. So, and so like I was saying, so many people that fall into leadership just because they I've had families say, or moms have said, oh, we got to a base, boxes were everywhere, that whole life, right, of moving. And, next thing I know, I was leading a small group, and so it can happen just that quickly, folks, definitely. Yeah. And we, I talk a little bit about, and I try to encourage homeschool military leaders to establish someone that knows just as much about the group as you do. If you don't have a formal board, someone that when you leave, the group doesn't fall apart. Right? Someone that is willing to step up into that leadership. So we're going to transition then to talk about group structure. And I don't know this for sure, and I can't remember, Linda, but do you all have a board? I don't think you do.
We do not have a board right now. Really, it's just me, and I try to work with the SLOs.
Right.
And that was challenging at first, but now we're all kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. And then I just work with the parents. This year, hopefully, we will be maybe transitioning into a nonprofit organization, and then we will have a board. But right now, it's just us.
It's just you, right? And that's
just me.
That's probably more the case than in most military homeschool groups. They don't have a board, and I'm not sure everyone needs to have one, but if you do, then typically it would be right because you have some type of nonprofit status, and we talked a little bit about that offline. And so, what about? And Jamie, you said the same, right? You all don't have a board, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We have kind of a core group that is planning and discussing, but no official
right.
board. Yeah.
So what I want our listeners to hear is that they have a group of people who have said we believe in the group. We believe in the purpose for the group, and we're willing to support you. So whether you have a board or not, you need people who will support you and who will carry the weight of leadership with you, because we all want to do this. We all love what we're doing, but we also are, in many cases, wives and, we are moms and we're homeschoolers and all the things to so many other people. Like, how do you balance that? How do you balance that life of leadership with your responsibilities, as mom and wife, and particularly military wife, which has its own unique challenges? Linda, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I am kind of OCD when it comes to my schedule. Things have to line up.
Yeah.
And so I try to cut out time for everything.
Yes.
We are unschoolers, so homeschooling for us is not as challenging as somebody that's like doing online school or following a strict curriculum. We're pretty free range homeschoolers over here. My husband's schedule, he's very busy. So we kind of go our separate ways during the day and then we'll come back at night, but I like it that way. It's fine. And then I do carve out time for the homeschool group. So I make sure that I only do events on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And then that leaves 2 days during the week where I can go to doctor's appointments or whatever else I might need to be doing. But I try to keep it pretty simple.
Good. And I think that it's really important to have that structure like that. So, because as your group continues to grow, right, it's, you can be running around like Lucille Ball, right? Lucy, like, you don't have to, right? So, Jamie, what about you? How have you worked towards some type of balance or prioritization or anything like that?
Well, I think in mindset, I do a lot of time blocking where I try to keep, especially during our school year, we don't school year round, but during our school year time, the mornings are school time. And so I try to keep my phone up away from where we're working so that it's not a huge distraction unless there's some major event going on that I have to stay, plugged in for that day specifically. So I try to keep that away and just tell myself that after lunch is now kind of my work time, so to speak. And it on the to-do list, what are the priorities for the group plan, or for example, like with the blog, with writing or due dates that I have coming up. But the mindset I try to keep is also that it's okay if it's not all perfect. I don't want to hold on to like the homeschool group or my goals for the group so tightly that, it causes stress to me, or that comes across to the other parents that this is a burden. Because really, once the plan is done and we get to those meetups, we all leave and we're filled up and we're encouraged for the week. So I try to stay in that mindset too, that the effort to get the plan in place really does free up that time to sit and gather together and have that time to fellowship and be ears for each other. And that's relaxing. But keeping that in mind that there's the relax time and there's the work time. And then just making sure that, my priority is teaching my children first and foremost. That's my job to homeschool them. So
exactly. Right. Definitely. I love it. And I see more questions coming through. Keep posting the questions, you all. We'll get to them in a real quick minute. So for those who actually want to know a little bit more about having a board, maybe you do have one, please feel free to comment that even during the replay. Here we do have a nonprofit, 501c7. So, and then we do have a board. We have 12 members on our board. So I'm president. We have a vice president. She handles our G Suite and some of the web. We have a secretary. Thank God for her. She keeps those notes and the minutes and everything, so I know what we're doing. We have a treasurer. We just established a board position called holiday parties because this dear homeschool mom was doing a lot of them. So we said you need to, become a board member. We have an activities coordinator and a librarian. And I want to plug in, we did establish that librarian role because a few years ago we applied. I had one of my homeschool moms who was a librarian prior to homeschooling, who applied for one of the HSLDA Meet the Moment grants that are available for groups to apply. And she did apply for that, and we were awarded it separate from me because, she applied and we were awarded that. And so we decided that she would become a librarian and she wanted to do that. So with the grant money, we established a lending library with resources, telescope, microscopes, and books and all the things. We have 3 co-op directors this year. We typically only have one, but there's 3, and they are a triplet team that I love. Public relations, we have a volunteer coordinator to say, we need you to step up. And then we have something that is a new position called a designating safeguard lead. And that person actually makes sure the families get background checked before they are able to actually have full membership. Yeah. So we've grown as we become more aware of the needs to really run, and our group continues to grow as well. So we will transition. There's Lily in North Carolina. Hi, hola, Lily. So you both know I'm a big advocate of connecting with your SLO, or School Liaison Officer. Air Force calls them SLPM, School Liaison Program Managers. Not only do I encourage leaders to reach out, but I've also spent countless hours training school liaison officers on how to serve us as military connected homeschoolers. So thanks to Lori Phipps, she had me come down to San Antonio last September of 2022 and train the U.S. Air Force school liaisons at their summit. And then I've done some work with the U.S. Marine Corps school liaisons virtually doing some training. So I'm constantly working on that. And so Navy is next, and we'll keep going. But it goes both ways, right? Reaching the school liaison officers and helping them understand who we are as military connected homeschoolers and that they do serve us. And then also helping the homeschoolers know to reach out. And some people on either side haven't had the best past experiences, right? I've heard it from both ends. So how has that worked for you, Linda? I know that initially, right, there were some challenges, but it sounds like you all have found a little bit of a better groove.
So when I first started the group, there was an SLO here, and she actually took a new position right after I started the group. So we lost her, and then there was like a 4-month gap where we didn't have an SLO. And when we finally did get our new SLO, she kind of took a little bit of time to kind of get her footing here. So I had to be really patient. And even though I needed things on my end, I didn't see the backside of being an SLO and how much work that goes in for her to be in that position with all of her training and stuff. So I had to just kind of wait for her to catch up. But since then, we're doing great. We're working together. I have her. She's the Army SLO. And then I also roped in the Navy SLO. So we're all working together because, like I said, it's a dual military installation.
Right.
It all has to kind of come together for this to work.
Right.
So it's been good. I've been inviting them to all of our homeschool events, and they love getting out of the office, so they'll come. And then, I've been doing post events too. So it's been really good.
I love it. I remember the early years with that getting that connection and all. And so, but definitely the school liaison officers have a huge, I don't want to say caseload, but depending upon the size of the installation, they serve lots of families. So patience is definitely the name of the game. So Jamie, let's shout out your school liaison there.
That's right. We've already mentioned her, Julie. She didn't even know she was going to be part of this. But she was actually really great and reached out to me. I originally had invited her to be a part of our Facebook group so that she could more easily get information to our family. Since the group was growing, it was established. I figured she was definitely a point of contact that we wanted in the group too. And just to give the group more legitimacy in the area, being connected to her was important. But she is the one that kind of mentioned to me that they're seeing the homeschooling numbers growing so drastically that I think they're very aware that they need to be addressing what the needs of those families are and learning about that. And so our school liaison, Julie, and then she has a counterpart at New River as well. So there's really two that work as a great team here, and are both very supportive and very encouraging about our group and, keeping it active and ideas for regular, like we said, the twice a year curriculum swaps and potential partnerships with other organizations on base for locations to meet and other activities and resources. So just that one curriculum swap that she booked a space for us to use and really set everything up perfectly. So we really had to do very little except bring our curriculum because she really was amazing with how she set it all up. The other organizations that were present, because she did go out of her way to contact them and bring in, for example, like Exceptional Family Member Program and Outdoor Adventures, who are both organizations that are very aware of homeschool families needing their support as well. And like you mentioned, Natalie, a lot of homeschool moms or parents, families, kind of have a little apprehension about contacting their SLO because they're afraid they're going to be told, like convinced to put their kids back in school. And I had the same thoughts, talked to many moms that had the same thoughts, but I have not experienced that here. And so that has been encouraging too. But obviously the numbers, they can't ignore the numbers. So
they can't. It's so many things you mentioned, both of you all, that I was trying to take notes that are not even in the script. So I need to so real quickly, you mentioned the numbers are growing. So the only statistics that we have are from a voluntary survey that Blue Star Families does every year. So we don't have true numbers, and homeschoolers kind of shy away from like signing any survey about being a homeschooler, right? So and sometimes school liaison officers or base commanders will say, oh, I want to know everybody that's homeschooling on the installation, and we know that that's not, they can't ask that of us. So we shy away from it, but it would be awesome to know like some really close stats about it. But the last stats that I had gotten was 13%. And so I suspect, based on the work I'm doing in so many other groups too, and here with HSLDA, I suspect 16, 18, 19% easily. And it's growing like weeds, as evidenced by both of your groups are growing. Our group is like busting. We are waitlisted for co-op. Like we have no room, and people are like upset, and we're like, we're doing the best we can. And we're going to talk about resources because a lot of that is based on how many, facility to meet, right? So having said that, that's one piece. The other is, I know Julie and I were talking about MSAC, Military Child Education Coalition, and their student-to-student program. So I'm going to be talking, I know that Julie already has started communicating, and then I already had a communication going with Tara Gleason with MSAC about student to student and bringing that into the military homeschool community. I wanted to also mention the EFMP. We had done a YouTube couple of series on special needs homeschooling. One of them was from the EFMP here in the National Capital area. And there is a nonprofit called Partners in Promise, and they do a survey about special needs, and they advocate, at the DOD and Congress level for, more help for military families who have special needs situations and children. And their numbers of people who are homeschooling have grown. So they reached out to say, what is going on? How are special needs homeschooling family, how are they homeschooling, how special needs military families homeschooling, like where's their support. So
Right.
there are conversations being had, and I'm excited to see like all of these conversations. And in the final, I was going to point out another leader that I do a lot of work with is Gina Payton down in the Panhandle, and Lacey Allen is the school liaison officer there who's helping. So they're rolling as well. So there's a lot of activity. So I'm excited about that. We here, our school liaison officer, we have a great relationship and we're working really well. I do want to say that we do have a memorandum of understanding, so that might be something that groups may want to consider. We are working on getting it signed, and it has to go through JAG. We're also working on becoming a post organization, which will mean we need to have insurance. So I want to talk a bit about what HSLDA Group Services can advise about those things as well in a bit. But let's go ahead. I see it's we are 45 minutes in and we're having a great conversation. So base resources, that's a big challenge. Like where can we meet, right? So there's so many resources as well. Like here we have an indoor pool on Fort Belvoir, the outdoor pools, the libraries, the MWR outdoor recs, all these kinds of things. So school liaisons often can be helpful, right, in helping you secure these resources and having that conversation. But then there's also other advocates that may be willing to help, like the base chaplain's office. We have support here. Sometimes you don't, but it's worth tapping into. And so how have you been able to, Jamie, get access to some of those there at Camp Lejeune in New River?
Honestly, it's just by contacting them.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is there's so many contact points for organizations, from their Facebook page to their email to their phone. We around here get a lot of voicemail full, so you can't leave a message. And I have found that Messenger is a great tool to contact someone. Being present too at those group events. So for example, the curriculum swap that did include additional base organizations like the library, the outdoor adventures program, and EFMP. We're all present there. So we were able to make contact with one another, and I was able to provide them with our flyer with our group QR code so that they can use that to give to new families that come into the area and are homeschooling. So that was beneficial. And then just the back to school event, we just did there was a back to school event that was put on by the school liaisons, and they graciously invited me to come and have a table there.
Good.
My little, mom run group, but it was great to make contact with parents. A lot of them came up to the table and said, thanks for being here. Just so that they knew that homeschooling was represented, and that meant a ton just to know. It might have been a few families, because obviously the majority of the school going children are going to schools came through that event. But those contact points have been key, where people will just see, oh, you're the homeschool group leader. Okay, well, our organization really wants to do STEM classes. The USO, someone who worked at the USO mentioned that to me at that event. So just getting those little nuggets of contact, and then I just reach out afterwards. And I do want to say, for all the introverted parents out there who think, oh, I can't do that, you have to be an extrovert to do that. I'm a natural introvert. Email, Facebook message. You do not need to be face-to-face or on the phone. Sometimes it's easier to have it all written down in a thread. So just rest assured, if you feel like you need community, you can start community. You do not have to be a public speaker to do it.
I love that. Yeah, speak to the introverts. I know, because people see me and they're like, oh, it's because you're extrovert and you're da-da-da. I'm like, no, there's ways for all of us to get into leadership. And so I love that you said that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Linda, what about you there in Monterey?
Okay, so to get kind of idea of the base here, it's an old installation. A lot of the buildings are condemned. There's two schools, right? So we have the Defense Language Institute, which is on the Presidio of Monterey, and then we have the Naval Postgraduate School, which is in Monterey. But in terms of resources, we don't have a USO. Our biggest resource in the community are the local parks. We hold events there all the time. We don't have a library on post. Our chapel is not kid proof. So we don't have normal resources as a larger military post. So a lot of my resources are off post. So I use the public libraries. I just recently reached out to the Boys and Girls Club in Monterey. They've been a huge help. Just kind of reaching out, finding contacts in the community, different businesses and places like that. So those are our big resources right now.
That's awesome. And I love that you pointed that out, because military installations all over the world are, different geographic situations and communities, right? And we know sometimes even off base outside of an installation may not be necessarily the best community, but sometimes it is. So you just got to feel it out as you get there and figure out where you need to pivot and get the resources that you need. So that's what
I will say that the SLO this year, she helped me work with ACS, and they did provide a room that I'm allowed to hold classes in this year. So that was a big win for us. Other than that, I rent out the community centers in the neighborhoods. Simple things like that. So
and make it happen. The best you can. We used to, most military housing is privatized. And so we have these different neighborhoods on the post, and they have community centers. And so we had to pay a fee, typically about, I can't remember, was it $50 to use it? But now, because of the school liaison, we are able to use a child care center. It's a child care facility, and it's specifically for before school and after school. So during the day from like 9:30 to 2:30, we have access Monday through Friday, but then it's the CYS. And so I didn't even mention to bring that up, but there's concerns, families don't want to background check, or families don't want to have to vaccinate, or families don't want to have to fill out all the paperwork, right? To be able to get involved with CYS, but they have to track their people because it's a numbers thing as well. So also, what did I want to transition to too? I wanted to recommend also to others who may be listening now or later, that if your base if your installation has a newcomers orientation, try to get connected there. Any type, like Jamie mentioned, also getting in front of people and letting the community, the resources on an installation, as well as, like Linda said, off, letting them know that you all are there. Many of them are wanting to reach out and support. So that would be really a good way to attend something like that and set up a table. And families, that are newcomers often are like, wow, I'm so glad you're here, because we're considering homeschooling, or, we are homeschooling already and we wanted to get in contact. So I love that. I love that. So, the other thing I wanted to, as we get to it, and I want to get to our questions real quickly. I also wanted to just make sure that everyone knows about our awesome group services attorney, Darren Jones. We have a group services program, and we also he has been a guest on a prior Facebook Live. So we have a military playlist on our HSLDA YouTube channel. Just go to playlist, and then at the top, the military, all the Facebook Lives from the past, that's where they live, or one of the main places that they live. And Darren Jones, his interview, his discussion is on there. He talks all about what is offered to groups by HSLDA. So definitely look into that. The big thing is, if you are a military support group leader, we would love for you to reach out to me or to Darren to get your group listed in our directory and to find out more about the resources available. It's a free listing, but you need to initiate it. So please definitely reach out to me. My email will be popping up soon in the chat. There's also a growing and connecting email newsletter for leaders that is sent out. You do need to subscribe. There are graphics available to promote HSLDA membership within your group because there are some financial benefits to that for your group. And then the directory, like I mentioned. So there's quite a lot there. And so I wanted to make sure that you all found out about that, as well as some of the grants that are offered as well, like the one that we applied for and received. Let me see. And the ladies, if you all want to add anything, I'm going to look over at the chat as well. Let me see here. I shouted out all the people that came on at first. Ash says we do a family barbecue or dance and have families meet and greet. That sounds really nice as well. Ash is rolling down there. I see you, Ash. Diane from North Carolina Home Educator says, what is the biggest barrier in reaching families moving into your bases, and how are you working to let new homeschooling families, I guess, know about that? And I think we talked about that, right? By going and attending some of these events and making the connections. Anything else you all want to add? Please feel free.
I usually post once a month on our just local Facebook pages for the area, all the military spouse pages, because here in Monterey, the turnover rate is so quick. It's usually 9 to 18 months. Our families are usually in the area, so we're always getting new people. So that is a good resource to use.
That's a good idea to do that as well. I love it. Anastasia God's Property says, are there support groups in Newport, Rhode Island, on base and off? I'm pretty sure I made contact with one. Anastasia, reach out to me at military@hslda.org, please. If you're still on, please just email me, and I'm pretty sure there is. And then Elaine says, that's great to be able to do the background checks. Yeah. It is. That's a whole other Facebook Live. So that's something you might want to consider about that, because I mean, we homeschool, and we're all, we can often kind of not realize that we still have a responsibility to make sure that all of our children are safe. And we don't want to have that discussion, but you really don't want to have an incident and not have had the discussion. You don't want to have an incident and not be prepared. So you want to be able to say to someone, I did the best that I could as a leader to ensure everyone's children are safe, right? Not just mine as a leader, but yours as well. So it has worked, and families have come around and said, yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. So Diane says, in my experience, if you develop a board, it is helpful to establish rotational leadership and intentionally mentor new leadership. It takes significant effort to ensure the group stays healthy when you leave. So true. So true. Yeah. Definitely. And that's where that structure and bringing someone else along and making sure that someone else knows as much as you do about the group and the connections that you have, like get them connected face to face so that the transition works is a lot more smoothly. Okay, you're welcome, Anastasia, definitely. So do we have anything else? Because we could go on and on. I see that we have almost reached the hour, which is fine. But I appreciate you, Linda and Jamie, for joining us for the conversation. Did you have anything else that you all felt that we needed to cover, or we missed, or anything?
I don't know, but I do enjoy talking to both of you. It's so nice.
Yeah, I know we and we can have other conversations, and I think you all are in the leader group on Facebook as well, the Military Homeschool Support Group Leader Facebook. So we can have more conversations, because I think it's helpful. I think it's really helpful. So as military homeschool families, we face unique challenges. We can often feel disconnected and forgotten, especially overseas duty stations. So here at HSLDA, we're really working really hard to develop resources that will help you find connection and encouragement. And I mentioned that we have that directory, right, that we're actually continuing to grow. So that is a benefit to you. We also have a fantastic legal team and educational consultants. I mentioned I'm a high school educational consultant. We have an incredible educational consultant team from pre-K all the way up to high school, special needs, and bilingual definitely reach out. If you are a member, you have access to ask us questions and we can guide you, even that transcript process. So definitely reach out. If you're not already a member, if you are, first, thank you for your membership. If you're not already, please consider joining. And if you're interested in joining, you can reach out to us at hslda.org/join. And if you are interested in the military discount, because you're a military family, there is a hslda.org/military discount, all one. Okay. So I think that we are, let's see here. Anastasia says, I will email. Thank you, ladies. She says, and then Jennifer says, is it possible to join HSLDA online or does this need to be in person? You join online, hslda.org/military discount will get you directly to the military discount if you are. Okay. How can we get new families? Oh, okay. Thank you. So she did. Yeah, she got that one. Okay. Oh, Lily, you're welcome so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you for watching the replay later. Linda and Jamie, I am so excited and just happy to see how you all are doing and how awesome you are as leaders and the growth. And I just want to say, it's just a blessing to get to know you all. So thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest today. And we have next Facebook Live coming up in September. So look on the HSLDA Military Families page. Make sure you click going. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.